Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Myself, Yasin Khan, Assistant Professor of Political Science with Rural Administration at Vidyasagar University, West Bengal. Today, we are going to discuss on the paper Social Movement, module number 10, entitled Academia, Civil Society and Social Movement. The objective of this module is to introduce you the very idea, concept and interrelationship of civil society, academia and social movement. You will also learn about the role of academia for framing civil society as well as participatory involvement of the academic institution in the field of social movement. Civil society is one of the most controversial phrases in contemporary knowledge discourses. Academia also is an important part of the civil society. Intellectuals and the participants of academic always think for this society. When any kind of problem or injustice occur in the arena of civil society, these people oppose such activity through their writings and speeches and try to mobilize public opinion for a just society. The role of intellectual therefore becomes very crucial in any social movement. In contemporary social science discourses, the concept of civil society is widely used. From about 1990, debates surrounding democratization have often been influenced by a hegemonic idea of civil society. In its original conceptualization in political philosophy, civil society was not a thing to be studied, but a theoretical construct used to understand observed phenomena. With its recent revival, civil society has become more the object of reason and less an analytical category. This is more so in the field of social movement, where members of civil society containing a large section of academia play a proactive role. The issues that crop up in this context are how to conceptualize civil society, linking civil society with the academia, and finding the relations among civil society, academia, and social movement. While a full explanation of the different levels of the debate and various strands of arguments would consume the whole discussions, the amount of academic disagreement revealed in these works over the viability of civil society as a concept in all its guise can be summed up as follows. Civil society is indeed an elusive concept and a more fugitive reality, but the remarkable energies devoted to its definition and pursuit strike us as the most powerful force on the scene. The quest for a civil society that can reinvent the state in its own admittedly idealized image is a drama of redemption whose potential nobility commands our admiration. The concept of civil society draws heavily on the liberal intellectual tradition to stress on civility as its core, yet the concept has become a notoriously slippery concept used to justify radically different ideological agendas supported by deeply ambiguous evidence and suffused with many questionable assumptions. Civil society is a space that exists over against the state and partially independent from it. It includes those dimensions of social life which cannot be confounded with or swallowed up in the state. The concept of civil society is now accepted in modern social science as an intermediary between the private sector and the state. Thus, civil society is distinguished from the state and economic society, which includes profit-making enterprises, nor is it the same as family life society. Civil society involves voluntary associations and participation of individuals acting in their capacity under the framework of private contractual relationships. These include academic institutions, NGOs, trade unions, advocacy groups, market associations, human rights groups, religious associations, farmers, cooperative and movements, and women thrift societies. Civil society can also be defined as an entity which is not a part of the state. It is a vast ensemble of constantly changing groups and individuals whose only common ground is their being outside the state and who have assimilated some consciousness of their being outside the state. Civil society is defined here as a sphere of social interaction between the household and the state, which is manifest in norms of community cooperation, structures of voluntary associations, and networks of public communications. One must acknowledge that civil society, like the state and political society, is a theoretical concept rather than an empirical one. The institution of civil society as the norms of civic community, the structure of associational life, the networks of public communication. When we talking about the norms of civil society, we just talking about the various norms, values, customs, etc. And when we thinking or talking about the structures of associational life, we just point out on the organizations, NGOs and other things which always play an important role in civil areas. And when we talking about the networks of public communication, we just talking about the various ideas and by which an academic institution flourish. Now we are concentrated on the academic institution, how academia play a vital role in the context of civil society. Academia, one of the most important instruments for making civil society vibrant, helps it in two ways. First, it strengthens the forces of civil society by enlisting the enlightened sections of human society. Second, academic institutions through their intellectual, political and social activities sharpen our understanding about issues highlighted by civil society. As for example, we may recall Plato's Academy, by which social progress and intellectual movement had happened in ancient Greece. The conceptual framework presented above contextualizes the non-entity civil society into civil society as ideas and civil society as process. Civil society as idea focuses on the use of civil society in the literature as well as how individuals, organizations, the government and the international actors in different countries conceive of civil society and perceive themselves in relation to it. Civil society as presence embodies a historical approach placing the current dynamics of political activism and social organizations within the context of a longer view of changing state-society relations. Determinants of civil society as process, if we talking about the determinants of civil society as process, we may find out various inputs. First one, historically generated issues which affect particular group in society or society as a whole. Structures and forms that organized social forces adopt to address these issues. Personal networks revealing who is involved in particular issues and why. External influences and international linkage, and also material license underlying production politics and the distribution of state resource. These are the main determinants of civil society as process. Now, after this throughout discussion of theoretical and conceptual understanding about academia and civil society, we may just talking on civil society in India. Commenting on the nature of civil society in India, Andre Bhai argues that civil society as an institution has a lasting character which is the hallmark of institution, whereas most voluntary organizations do not pass this test. He also reminds us that despite the current popularity of the term in different parts of the world, civil society is a historical category and not a universal category of human existence. To speak of civil society is to speak with reference to the legal framework and to emergence of it in a historical era with reference to the material conditions extant. The question that emerges in India is that is the civil society a universal institution in a country that is marked by caste and ethnic relations primarily. In the context of academic institution in India, this kind of controversy occurred. Very few Indians in public life are institution builders, be it ministers in government or academics in universities. Most of those personnel who could be builders of lasting institutions are overwhelmed by populism, bias of caste, creed and inferior. The term academia refers to the group of persons who engage in intellectual and academic activities like research, teaching, popular lecture or talk, writing and community services. This group is mostly found in the universities, colleges, institutes and other research institutions, academia history often follows a path dependent pattern, and many university systems are idiosyncratic and are influenced by local condition. If we take some example on this, we may find out some names who are involved for writing and those who are writers like Arundhati Rai, like Medha Patekar. Those are social activists and also writers. They write a lot of things and they also known as an intellectual. And also we find out lawyers, doctors, academicians like professors, teachers, all are involved in academia. In India, we respect them for their intellectual capacity for progressing our society, for their contributing for progressing our society. Andre Bete uses the empirical example of the state of Indian universities to explicit the matter of balance between rights and trust and points out how an overemphasis on rights has created a situation of mistrust, misunderstanding and suspicious to the determinant of the academic institution. One cannot but be in agreement with Bete about the abysmal conditions that most of our institutions of higher education are in, but to lay the blame at the door of rights per se would be perhaps a little unjust. Education was for a very long time the basin of a few, and their hold over the institutions of higher learning was nearly absolute. It is through the language of rights that a great number of students from disadvantaged backgrounds have entered the portals of higher education. Democratization of education is a long and arduous process, and the last has not been hard on thee. But in very recent times, some incidences in academic campus prove that our academic institutions are also influenced largely by politics. In this context, we may also refer to the views of Gramsci on organic intellectual. When Gramsci talking about intellectual, he classified intellectuals by two categories. For Gramsci, intellectuals are a broader group of social agents than the term would seem to include in its definition. Gramsci's category of intellectuals include not only scholars and artists, or in his own terms, the organizers or culture, but also functionaries who exercise technical or directive capacities in society. Among these executives, we find administrators and bureaucrats, industrial managers, politicians, and the already mentioned organizers of culture. The interaction between academia and civil society is very unique in nature. If we concentrate on the very idea of academia or academic organizations, we may locate various institutes which are funded by state and sometimes by private patrons. There are also registered societies like All India Sociological Society ISS and NGOs like Institute of Social Sciences, New Delhi, which pick up issues faced by their members or stakeholders. The ISS, for instance, has raised the issue of intellectual freedom of their members in the context of an environment of intolerance, leading to physical attack on eminent sociologists like Nandini Sundar, M.N. Panini, Vivek Kumar, Rajesh Mishra, and many others. It appears that academia is both a knowledge hub and a pressure group which conceptually can be accommodated within the structural framework of the civil society. Academia institution as the part of the civil society and civil society as makers of the academic institutions shape the contours of social movements deeply. Means here we find out both of these factors influenced each other. Sometimes academicians influenced the making of social movement, the formation of social movement. Sometimes social movement process also influenced academicians. Academicians influenced by social movement and talking for social movement and supporting social movement by their own ways and for their vested interest. Now we just talking about civil society, social movement and academia in Indian scenario. According to some scholars, civil society in India consists of very fluid social groupings which are founded on primary identities of caste, ethnicity, kingship, lineages and religions. Although most political theorists would write these groupings up and unworthy candidates for voluntary social associations whom they regard as prime component of civil society. Though the Indian higher education structure can be traced back to Nalanda and also Takshashila institution, still the foundation for modern education was laid by the Britishers. They set up network of schools to impart Western educations in English medium. We just explain these by the name of colonial hangover. We can't forget our colonial master, how they teach us, how they influenced us by their policy making. We just follow them, and by their ideas, by their strategy, we just look at our educational institutes and also our educational organization. Now we just talking about 3 cases in Indian educational institutes which was recently emerged and which largely influenced our society, our people, our politicians and our whole academics world. Just we recall 3 cases which was held in Hyderabad University, Rohit Vemula case, and also JNU Jawaharlal Nehru University, Rohit Kanhaiya Kumar case and Jadavpur University Hawk Kolarov case. These 3 incidents largely affect our civil society, our politicians, and these 3 movement gives us a threat towards greater society. Politicians also think about the strength of academicians, strength of student movement, strength of our writers, our intellectuals, and these 3 cases also gives us a lot of dimensions. There are various instances of academia opposing repressive measures taken by state as well as governments. In other words, the role of academia in leading social movements in the civil society cannot be easily dismissed, but at the same time, it is to be recognized that our intellectuals are fragmented, divided on political lines. The ruling party very often try in infiltrate into the group to create divisions. Moreover, the free space required for a perfect civil society activism is absent in India. Social groups in our civil society are not free from the influence of political party, religion, caste or kinship. Yet, due to increasing coverage of media projections in India today, the role of intellectuals in providing directions to social movement has increased manifold. Interestingly, social movements involving academia and civil society are mostly short-lived and can do little to change the social or economic structure. Now, we would like to conclude with some words. Just if people think the very ideas and concepts of civil society, academia and social movement always influenced by politics. Political leaders for their own interest taken some academicians, some writers and give them some prizes, some awards for their vested interest. After getting this prize and awards, academicians, writers talking or supporting the ruling political party. If these kinds of phenomenon continues in our country or in the universe, we can't find out a good academician, good civil society or also good social movement which changed our world, society or our skilled. Okay, thank you.